All right, so now let's take a look at Module 1 Overview. So this is the actual module we are working on this week, right? Starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. So let's take a look at that. So, a couple different ways we can get to the modules, right? Left-hand side, there's a link called Modules. And of course, if you've completed the orientation assignments, you're now going to start to see the modules stack up every week. All right. So module number 1, the internet and the web. It's basically a overview of what the internet and the web actually is. Okay? I would say consider the internet as an umbrella, and the web and a whole bunch of other services fall underneath that umbrella. Okay? So the internet is made up of the web and a whole bunch of other services. Okay? All right, so in this week, in this module, we have 3 assignments. And this is going to be pretty typical of our modules. 3 assignments. You shouldn't have anything more than 3. You might have less, but typically not more than 3 assignments. And that, I think, should be the same. If we go to the calendar, you'd be able to see that. All right, we have a DQ, a lab, and a quiz. Those are the 3 assignments that you'll have this week. Of course, you have a series of learning objectives, which is exactly what's in the book, right? So this objective should line up with what the chapter objectives are when you read through that, okay? And your reading is chapter number 1, and then here's your companion website. So just as a review, what are you going to do next week on Monday when Module 2 pops up? Absolutely. You're going to go to the companion website. You're going to see if that chapter has any updates. If it does, you're going to make the updates. If it doesn't, fantastic. They did a great job editing the book. Okay. All right, so that's chapter 1. It goes straight to chapter 1. The key concepts. So I had mentioned that we're going to do an overview of essentially the key concepts of the chapter. Okay. Well, this is the full-blown ones, the ones that the author provided. Those are the ones that are like 20, 30, 40, slides long. We're not going to do that in this class. I typically create a reduced version of that slide deck, so it's only 10 or 15, right? So at least we can talk about some of the higher points and then move on from there. I'd like this course really to be a more hands-on environment, in-class activities that we do as opposed to just simply lecture, although there's always a need for a little bit of lecture. All right, how many of you saw this and started laughing after you realized that this actually is a true graphic? So in 1969, that was the internet. So you're out of luck if we lived in Chicago. Okay, too bad, no internet. Okay, so pretty neat. All right, the other thing I added in there was a video that I thought was useful for us. The Internet Explained. This gives more of a relaxed look at the internet. It's got more of a drawn and explains them in very easy language so we can understand really how the internet basically works, okay, in more of a visual environment as opposed to reading the chapter, and I would say doing both would be great, right? Because, of course, you're being quizzed on the chapter content, not on that video, okay? Yeah, so maybe that's something I should mention. Your quizzes are based on the content in the book, right? So this other stuff is supplemental. It's like information for you that I add that I think is cool or fun. So I'm not going to test you on that little graphic that said in 1969 how many internet connections there were. No, I'm only going to test you on what the chapter has. Make sense? Everything else is extra and for good information, but up to you to decide whether you want to use it. Like this one, the Wayback Machine. This is a fantastic website. It's an archive website. So this website has pretty much all the websites that have ever been made. And they're there. So if you want to see what Harper's website looked like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, you can go there and take a look at what it looked like. Okay? Yeah. Or any other website that you seem to visit and like. Okay. So you want to see what Google looked like, right? 10 years ago? Yeah. Check it out. Probably didn't look that much different. All right. So here's our DQ. So let's see what your first assignment is for this week. So I went to the discussion board, mandatory discussion questions, and now our Mod 1 discussion. So follow the thread title. Okay, so follow the thread title. So the title for this Mod 1 DQ is called Website Project. The purpose of this DQ is for you to brainstorm your project ideas. Some of you said you already have it, and some of you have actually submitted them, and I've already graded some of them. I've given you feedback on them already. I haven't gotten all of them yet, but some people have submitted them, and I was able to get to some. But this is a chance for you to think about it. Write down what your ideas are. Again, brainstorm. Provide maybe some other colleagues in the class some ideas for their project. Perhaps they're really into rocket launching, right? Model rockets and stuff. And that's something that you're into as well. Well, perhaps you can provide them with some useful links or something like that, right? Some information to help them solidify their particular topic idea. This is not where you submit your topic approval. This is simply a chance for you to brainstorm. Okay? That's what this purpose of this DQ is for. Any questions? So, Alec, I think you had asked something about the expand, right? Can you do that? So, expand all, collapse all. I think that is the only thing that I see there that might be helpful at all. So. Okay. Any questions about the DQ? Or at least no. Great. Tutorials. These are tutorials that almost every module will have. And the tutorials essentially is a supplement to what we cover in the book. And this is actually kind of nice. I use W3 Schools, and this particular website is nice because it's easy to read, and it explains what the particular topic is, and then lets you try it. So, for example, as we move forward, like in Chapter 2, we're going to be coding. And so you can go to this website, learn about whichever element we're talking about in the particular class, because there's going to be a lot of them in the class, and then you can try to actually use it in a sample environment. So they give you a chance to actually play with it before you have to do it either through the hands-on in the book or submit your homework, which is kind of cool. So you'll have almost every module will have a set of tutorials. Not every one, but almost all of them. I think short of 2, I believe. All right, your lab files. Your lab files are the files that I give you, which you can also get on your own, because the book provides you with those files, okay? But I give them to you as a courtesy, so this way you don't have to go look for them. So the lab files, student lab files, are the files you'll need to do the hands-on in the chapter and the case study. That's what the student lab files are. Okay. Cool. Module software. I actually added this and the Mac only, I believe, today. Because I think it was important that we made sure everybody's comfortable with what kind of software you might need for this particular module. Right? So in this module, you're simply going to be using a text editor, right? And of course, not everybody uses Windows. Some of you use Mac, maybe Linux, or even a Google Chromebook, and right, you'll have to install an app for that. But these are the tools we'll be using for module number 1. Okay? And unless I indicate differently in future modules, you'll be using those same tools in class. This is for class purposes. If you decide that you're an expert in Dreamweaver and you're at home, how can I stop you from using Dreamweaver at home? I can't, right? So if you feel more comfortable in that tool, great, use it at home. But here in this class, we'll use all the same tools, right? During class. After class, you do what you want, okay? Just makes things easier for me, right? Because this way I don't have to learn a tool that you use but nobody else uses on the fly, right? In case you need me to figure out something for you. And then here, for any Mac users, this is important. So if you are using a Mac, you'll have to make some changes to the to text edit, to code in HTML. Okay? And I can help you with that as well. But I believe the link to the tutorial is fairly self-explanatory. Okay? But again, I am happy to help. All right? And then we have the lab, the second assignment for this module. And that's under the labs folder, which is also available here. Notice how they're all available on the left-hand side, right? Modules, tutorials, labs, quizzes, and so on. So your first lab is really simply recreating what the hands-on practice 1.1 is in the book. So by the time you read the whole chapter, you get to the end has a nice little hands-on practice that has you code HTML. And all I want you to do is do that hands-on practice and submit it to me. Now, we're going to do it in class tonight. So you already have a heads up on that assignment. Okay? Yeah, not all the assignments will be like that, but this one is. And then how you hand it in, right? So you provide me with any difficulties you had throughout that assignment, and then attach that index.html file to the assignment. Okay. Any questions? So if you haven't read the chapter, well, then you'll have to read the chapter to get to that hands-on. Yeah. I view them in every browser. Yep, I will be checking all browsers. Well, I would recommend, and I will recommend this as we move forward in the future chapters or modules, is that you should be checking your work in at least 3 browsers of your choice. Right? There are about 5 mainstream ones. Right? 3 should be good. Right? At least here in this classroom. If you're already working, perhaps your job indicates through the processes that you should be checking it on 5, or maybe you should be checking it on the browser that most of your users are using, which might be some browser, right? And maybe even perhaps versions, which we'll talk about later, but I don't expect you to worry about checking different versions of the same browser. Yeah, just whatever the current one is, check it on that. Yeah? And we'll show you how to check your page in a browser. So don't worry about that if this just conversation wasn't clear. Okay. And we'll do that tonight. It's all part of tonight. All right, any questions about the lab or any more questions about the lab? Okay. Fantastic. So that is module number 1. Right? The internet and the web. Any more questions?